Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wick and you're on the WonderingWIK YouTube channel. I'm sure you probably knew that. But anyway, my last video was about what I called logic bias. Kind of covered a few different ways where you could look into, explore, and think about how you could potentially solve Justin Posey's Beyond the Map's Edge treasure hunt. Touched on a few things that I deemed to be close proximity. Also touched on whether or not it was a multi-region or multi-state solve, as well as a connect the dots or a way to thread everything together type of hunt, as Justin Posey has recently stated in previous interviews that he's done with other folks. But that video is done pretty well in a few days. So I want to thank you guys for that first and foremost, and thank you for the amount of views we've had on it. Just for the record, that is 400 views in 3 days. That's pretty awesome. So thank you very much for that. Again, coincidentally, we also have 42 subscribers. So I would ask that no one else subscribe, because 42 is where we want to be. Unless we get to 4,200, then we can just move the decimal 2 places left and be at 42. I'm just kidding. Keep the subscribers coming. It's been very cool, very humbling, as I said a moment ago. So for the topic of this video, I'm going to be doing a little bit more of the same format as we did in the last one. And we're going to get into what is a good or right question to ask. We've heard Justin say a few times with his responses something along the lines of, I think it's the wrong question to ask, or the question itself would not make sense. So I wanted to talk about it. But before we do that, I do want to say that this video and the last one have had some quotes in it from various searchers and various formats of interviews or live Q&As that Justin has done, and I don't know who submitted these questions. I'm not suggesting that your question's bad or good or great, so don't take it the wrong way. I literally don't know who asked these questions, but if you do take it the wrong way, please be sure to at least comment 2 or 3 times and like or dislike the video. Just kidding. Anyway, back to it. Let's talk about what it is that Justin may or may not consider a good question. The first one that I want to touch on is the fact that there have been a couple questions submitted that Justin has responded with, those are strange questions. 2 examples here are, is it a mile or less to the treasure container? He responds, this is a really strange question to me. I don't think this question works, because by the time you're going to get the treasure, you're not searching, you're retrieving. And I have no idea what that last part means, just for the record. The next question that he asked, or he also responds it to be a strange question, is a double arc something that exists or had to be created? Justin responded with, I don't want to give away too much on this, so I'm going to have to pause. Not a punt for a change. I like it. It's a strange question, knowing what I know. And I don't know what Justin knows. I wish I did. But those are 2 questions that Justin said were strange. Not bad questions, or not the wrong question to ask, just simply strange. So I think we can take out of that is that, is it a mile or less to the treasure container? Again, it kind of in the last video I also mentioned it, how far is it from the first clue to the last miles? And he just simply said that's the wrong question to ask. I just think we need to get a little bit more specific with these types of distance related questions. We need to give them either more context or give them some open-ended things where he could possibly expand on, or if we get rather specific and he punts or says he doesn't want to answer that, that could also be telling as well. So those are 2 questions. The next one we're going to get into are some interesting questions. Going to continue on the double arcs train right now. Is double arcs not something you'll see, but a directional bearing? He responds again, interesting. I think I'm going to have to punt on that one. I don't want to give too much away, but good question. So as before, it is a good question, but he doesn't want to give us too much. So there's something there likely. You could likely take that as being true. I mean, it may not be true. It could just simply be throwing us for a loop, and there could not be anything there. But it kind of seems to tend or lean towards him thinking or suggesting that there may be something there. The next question that he found is just interesting is someone asked him, return her face to find the place. Can you give us an idea, even if it's just a range, of how far her face is from the place? Again, interesting question. It's probably not as far as many people might think. which I would hope makes sense, because if you're returning her face to find the place, you're hopefully not going a great distance to get there. But again, these are questions that Justin found interesting. So we're getting a little bit better in our methods. We're getting a little bit better in the way that we're asking questions, the way we're thinking about asking questions. You can see we ask them a question, but we also give them something to think about. Is double arch not something you'll see, but a directional bearing? And again, similar with return her face to find the place. Can you give us just an idea, a range of how far her face is from the place? And he seems to kind of like that question. It seems to kind of like the thought that we're adding some things to questions, giving him kind of something to think about, giving him something to ponder about before he just answers quickly. It's not just a yes or no type of question, which again could be revealing. The next set of questions I want to go over is what Justin called an insightful question. The question was asked, a little bit paraphrased, are you willing to answer the right question and provide the distance from the first actionable clue to the treasure? I think that's kind of what I hinted on earlier. Someone asking how far is it from the first clue to the last one in miles. And another question, it was about water silent flight, or what is the first question in your poem that equates to where warm waters halt. I don't know why I can't say that well. From Finn's poem. And you said the first actionable clue with sufficient context is, his hope surges clear and bright. So this is kind of a play on words, an extension of that question, which to me is kind of telling as well. It's someone took a first question that he said isn't the right question to ask, or just simply won't work, and expanded on it. Can you provide distance from the first actionable clue to the treasure? This is something that Justin uses those terms. So we responded, oh, wow, that's an insightful question. I think it's probably the best use of time for someone to formulate the right question to ask. I think just by virtue of going through the process of formulating that question, you might find the answer. I don't know what that answer is yet, but maybe you do. If you found that answer, share away in the comments. But again, we can see that we have this kind of theme we're building. We're enhancing our questions. We're asking different types of questions and elaborating on them. And so we went from a strange question to an interesting question to now an insightful question. We're building. We're getting better. We have another chance at Seeker Summit at the end of March to ask more questions. I think from what I understand from Emma and Jam of Treasure Hunt with Us and some others, that technically searchers, people who show up and go to the Seeker Summit will have a chance to submit questions on site. And then I think they're just going to do like a random selection from those questions and ask Justin. Similar to Dylan Q&A from what I understand a little bit. I don't know. We'll get there. So in conclusion, what can we learn from all of this? I think that Justin seems to prefer questions with either deeper context or creativity. He also seems to prefer questions where thinking outside the box has occurred. He tends to like it when we release posy speak and kind of use words that he's used in the past, or when he talks about the natural arc of the full arc experience of the treasure run and we expand on arts. He likes that sort of thing. I want to say that he thinks we're kind of gaining more knowledge of him and understanding and thinking like he thinks a little bit. So that's why I deemed it posy speak. Last but not least, Justin ain't a sports baller, but he sure as hell does like to punt a lot, unfortunately for us. So maybe Seeker likes football. I don't know. Or just likes punters. I know people like punters. They're good people. All right. So I did ask a couple different searchers to provide some questions. Also reach out to Justin, but he didn't respond. But maybe one day we'll get his insightful feedback on what these better questions or good questions are to ask. Maybe we'll get a chance for the Seeker Summit. But these are a couple of questions from searchers that they thought were better along the lines of some of the types of questions that we should be asking and that we could be asking Justin. First one is, what tool would you say is a threshold between specialized and non-specialized? We've seen over and over again that we don't need any specialized equipment. But I think one of the 10 essential items is a compass. So you could ask them something along the lines of, what's the threshold between a compass and a non-specialized or specialized device in that field, or something along those lines. The other question I asked was, why couldn't you decide between a stainless steel or a cast aluminum shovel at Home Depot? A question that I think would be good is, would you consider the distance between Tucson and Mount Lemmon, which is just over 42 miles, coincidentally, to be in the same general area? So I'm going to ask him a couple different questions related to that, and whether or not the treasure location is seen or mentioned in the book. And he doesn't quite say yes or no. He more or less says, I wanted to give you some context about the general areas of the hunt, if you will. And this is a self-biased question here, just because I would like to know and kind of get an idea of what some of his favorite places are that he's visited in the American East, on the East Coast, over towards me. The last one. So what's up with Alaska in general? I'm going to butcher this so bad, but why is Mount Sinatinik on the map? There doesn't seem to be a logical reason for it. It's not the highest peak in Alaska. Doesn't really seem to be a good idea of why it could be there. But why is Alaska on the map in general? And why not Hawaii? Well, those are kind of the questions that a lot of folks have asked, and those are some of the questions that are along the lines of things I'd like to see asked in the future. I'm not quite sure who's going to be asking the questions at the Seeker Summit. I kind of assume it'd be Emma and or Jim, but I don't know for sure. But I just hope that we learn from the last year about the questions we've asked him and the types of answers he's given us. Maybe we start to press him a little bit. I don't think there's any harm in that. If I get a chance to interview Justin, I don't think I'll throw a bunch of softballs. I'll kind of press him a little bit, put some pressure on, and see if we can get some of these things answered. But for now, I think we have an interview with X Marks the Pod coming up soon, and then we have the Seeker Summit. So hopefully we'll get there. Hopefully we'll start getting some better questions. But that's really what I wanted to talk about for this video. It's kind of a short one. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for the 400 views plus on my first video. It's just amazing. And for 42 subscribers, couldn't plan that better. But again, thank you. Hope you all have a great one and have a good time.